I love working with veterans and I love helping with VA loans, but unfortunately, there's a lot of myths out there that pertain to getting a VA loan. So today, we're gonna go through some of those myths and clear some things up. First one that I hear is that the VA loan takes too much time to close. That's simply not true. We're able to get VA loans done faster than most lenders can get a conventional loan done. Our typical close time is 21 days, and a lot of times it's even less. Another common one that I hear from veterans is they think they can't get more than one VA loan. Two things with that. You can have multiple VA loans at the same time. The amount of entitlement used on the first loan might impact the amount of loan that you're able to get with 0% down on the second loan, but that doesn't mean that you can't have two loans at the same time. It does require that the new home is going to be your primary residence, but you can move out of the old house into a new house and keep that departing residence, whether it's a second home or an investment. Additionally, if you're paying off that first house, your entitlement will be restored, which means there is no limit to the loan amount that you can get for that new purchase. Which brings me to another myth, that you can't do a jumbo VA loan. There actually really isn't a jumbo VA loan. As long as you have full entitlement, there isn't a limit to the loan amount. Now, you do have to qualify based on your debts and incomes, but there is no maximum loan limit for a VA loan. Additionally, there is no minimum credit score. It doesn't matter what your credit score is. If you can qualify for the loan, it is possible to get done. Now, when you get below certain credit scores, there might be additional requirements from underwriting, and your qualification might be more limited than with a higher credit score, but a low credit score itself does not disqualify you from a VA loan. If you've been told that there's a minimum credit score, that is that company's overlay. That is not from the VA, that's from that specific company. So reach out to someone that doesn't have a minimum credit score requirement. I also hear that the VA loan is more expensive. Sure, there might be a funding fee involved, but that can be waived if there's any service-connected disability. And even if you do have a funding fee, the interest rate on a VA loan is typically about 0.5% cheaper than on the same conventional loan that you would qualify for. So that upfront money is more upfront, but over the life of the loan, you end up better off by having a lower interest rate. A weird one that I heard recently is that VA loans are only for first-time home buyers. That isn't the case at all. I think it stems from people thinking it can be only used as your primary residence. But you can get it for your second home, your third home. It doesn't matter. As long as there's entitlement there, you could use your VA loan again. I've also had people tell me that I can't use my VA loan because I'm looking at condos and townhouses. Again, that isn't true. There's no restrictions on the property type. It does have to meet the VA's minimum property requirements, but they're no different than FHA loans' minimum property requirements. That brings us to appraisals. I so often hear from realtors that they're concerned about the VA appraisal requirements. As I mentioned, they're the same as FHA loans, and it usually comes down to little things like chipping paint that can be easily remedied. The VA loan does allow those repairs to be made without a reinspection. So instead of having to have the appraiser go out and reinspect it, we can actually make those repairs, take a picture, and send it in. Additionally, the VA allows you to waive some of those. If the veteran is aware of the deficiency and we can document that it won't impact them, we get those deficiencies waived all the time. Another concern regarding appraisals is the value, and that just isn't true for a number of reasons. The numbers show that VA appraisals come in at value more often than conventional or FHA loans. And part of that is the process itself, which allows 3 opportunities to get that value right. The first step is the original appraised value. If the appraiser thinks they're coming in below purchase price, they have to issue Tidewater before they issue their report. What Tidewater is, they reach out to me, the lender, and say,
hey, we're coming in below value.
Instead of issuing that report and then having to rebut the value, they tell me before they issue it, so we have an opportunity to provide them any evidence of why we think it should come back at appraised value. If we have comparable sales or interesting or unique facts about that home, we can send that to the appraiser to hopefully get that value to come in at purchase price. Now, if those first 2 swings don't get it, you can do a reconsideration of value going directly back to the VA. We all know not every appraiser is perfect. Sometimes they have a bias to an area, a house. We could send a reconsideration of value directly to the VA to someone who's sitting at a desk, isn't going to be biased by any characteristics in the area. They're simply looking at the facts of the home, the square footage, the bedrooms, the comparable sales. They're going to do a desk review of that appraisal and come back with a new value. When we go through all three of those steps, we tend to get that value right and get the veteran in the home. I've had people tell me I can't use my VA loan because I can't have a co-borrower. Again, that's not true. If the co-borrower is your spouse, you could do 0% down like normal. If the co-borrower isn't your spouse, you may have to have a down payment, but you can still use your VA loan benefit to get that low interest VA loan. People also say,
I can't get a VA loan, I've had a bankruptcy or foreclosure.
Guess what? You can get a VA loan after bankruptcy and foreclosure. There's a waiting period after that foreclosure or bankruptcy until you can buy again, but that entitlement that you earned is still there. At the end of the day, a lot of the negative things that you hear about VA loans are either misunderstandings, mistruths, or straight up myths. If you're hearing any of these, reach out to me. I'm happy to explain exactly how the VA loan works and if it's the right loan for you or your clients. Call, text, or email me anytime.